Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you from SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 210. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joining me here as always, except when he's not, is BT Calloway.
Hoy hoy.
And joining us all the way from Sans Pants Radio in Melbourne,
Yeah, in Melbourne.
is Jackson Baly.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm so excited to do this.
No, absolutely. We're stoked to have you on the Simpsons Index. And of course, this is a podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time. But there is a twist. Each episode must come from a different decade. Now, Jackson, thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
We like to ask our first-time guests, where did the show begin with you? Do you remember where The Simpsons started in your life?
I do. I feel like this is probably an experience that a lot of, specifically Australians, had where The Simpsons would be on 6 p.m. on Channel 10. You'd get home from school, you'd watch the tail end of like the ABC Kids programming block.
Yep.
Then you'd switch over to Channel 10. You'd catch like 20 minutes of Burjo's catchphrase. I don't know if anybody else remembered that. And then Simpsons for the 6 p.m. one. And then later, if you were lucky, the 7:30 p.m. one. And I reckon I would have been watching this since I was like maybe 9 or something like that. Like it just was, that was the routine. That's just what you did. Me and my younger brother Ryder would just, every night we'd watch it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And like, that is such a universal experience. Yeah, we often talk about, going from Our Real Monsters and fucking Daria and shit straight to Simpsons.
Absolutely. And it kind of felt a little bit exciting because you were kind of like leaving the kids channel and you're like, oh, and hello, now I'm on the adults channel, Channel 10. Oh my God. Sometimes we might watch Seinfeld before or after. I forget where that came into it, but that whole programming block was, so much of my childhood. Somehow more of my childhood than any of the kids shows that I watched as a kid. Seinfeld and The Simpsons absolutely was the building blocks there.
Yep. Very familiar there.
And then I remember, like, in summer or whatever, for whatever reason, they'd put on the Brady Bunch instead, and that was just a bad time.
Oh, yeah. There was I remember as well that there must have been some change, and changing over from Burjo's catchphrase to an episode of Neighbours, and losing my mind, and being a little kid, not really understanding it, being like, after Neighbours, The Simpsons will be on. But then it just went into like Everybody Loves Raymond or whatever, and I was like, The Simpsons is coming. It'll be here soon.
They'll be back.
It'll bring food and smite our enemies.
But on the flip side of that, where has the show ended with you, or are you still watching the newer episodes?
Well, so a crazy thing happened to me. So I reckon I dropped off. I dipped. Probably, I feel like later than most people, like maybe season 20, 21 is when I called it. Back in the day, I remember watching it, I'd still be like, 7:30, new Simpsons. And then we'd be like, at a certain point, like, well, we don't like this anymore, so let's stop.
Let's switch over to Neighbours.
Let's go back there. Let's watch that instead. But so what?
Is the news on Channel 9? Oh, let's go watch some news. Maybe they're up to the weather.
Let's get some current affairs going on here or whatever. I think what happened is that you just got access to a broader range of animated comedies. And we were like, oh, well, let's watch Futurama. Let's watch King of the Hill. Let's expand our horizons or whatever. But anyway, so this year, my partner, she got a little bit ill. And so we had some time to like kill, basically. Rewatching the classic era just as like something to do. And I was like, well, let's watch The Simpsons. And she was like, yeah, great idea. And I don't know why we didn't start at season 1. We started at season 3. And we just started watching it. And at first it was like a comfort thing. And we were like, yeah, this is great. Holy shit. Like the show holds up so well. I'm having these full on laugh out loud moments. I'm loving every second of it. And then we got to like season sort of like 16 and we kind of no longer needed that kind of comfort, but we were sort of in it, and we were still doing it, and we were like, oh, there's still some really funny moments, like even this deep in, there's still some like, even maybe you could call them iconic episodes or whatever. And then we hit season 20, season 25, and now the whole like thing is academic for us. We don't enjoy it. We're not having a good time, but we chuck it on and we're like, what's happening? What's this episode gonna be? Oh, it's a Homer Lisa episode. How many times have they done this exact dynamic before? Oh, for some reason, season 29 is obsessed with Sideshow Mel. That's weird. Why'd that happen? So it's sort of driving us insane a little bit.
Let's chart this downward spiral, shall we?
Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely what we're doing. And what we're really excited for is when we finish season 31 to go back and watch 1 to 3, because what a stark contrast that's going to be.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. And I think it was the tweet that started it where, you were talking about how Simpsons is melting your brain and like, it's the same for us. And it's sort of part of the experiment here to, do this 3-episode structure that we're doing to compare what the fuck is happening with this show, because it's the only show you can do with this.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's at a certain point it stops being funny and just starts being fascinating. And what other show can you say that about? For sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yeah, starting out today, we watched an episode from what we're calling the Disney era. This was season 31, episode 14, Bart the Bad Guy. First released in March of 2020. Interesting. Directed by Jennifer Moeller, written by Dan Weber. In this episode, Bart sees an advanced screening of The Vindicators Crystal War Part 2 and has all the spoilers for the movie and starts blackmailing everyone in Springfield to not reveal the secrets. Anyway, guys, what'd you think?
It was bad, obviously. Like I did at about maybe 15 minutes in, I was like, I have 100% checked out of this episode. But there were 2 moments that gave me full-on laugh out loud. I was shocked. I was like, oh, okay, well, you did an all right job. Of course, they were doing Marvel. I don't know why the later seasons are so like obsessed with really direct parody. Like they're so like this thing is happening in
like, hey, we're topical, come on.
Yeah, exactly. You care about spoilers? That's something right? That's like Marvel movies, we're taking them down a peg, but like obviously they're not at all.
Yes, business daddy. I got you, business daddy.
yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. It's a bit weird or a bit like on the nose to be like, yeah, we're taking down fucking Marvel. And you're like, well, yeah, but I'm watching you this on Disney Plus, The Simpsons. Come on. Like,
you know who shines those checks. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I thought I was going to dislike it way more, season 31. It was all right. I had a fine time with it. Yeah.
What'd you reckon, BT?
I had a fine time up until the point I feel like we'll talk about a little bit later, where it just derails and gets full-blown wacky nonsense. And I don't know how I'm coming out of this feeling like that, because, I was very neutral, and I don't know if I'm angry. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, look, I mean, Jackson, you'd know watching the later seasons, like, this one actually has plot structure that's kind of missing from a lot of newer episodes. So
for sure,
a lot of this get a pass for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is that funny moment where at a certain point you'll come out of an episode, you're like, it's not good, but at least it was like competently made.
Yeah.
And that's all you're asking for at a certain point. Yeah.
Yeah, no, a lot of people are saying that they're trying harder in the 30s. I haven't seen a lot of them yet, so remains to be seen. But
the number of times we've come out of an episode and said it was okay, but they neaded to go over the script 4 more times and just figure out what they wanted.
100%.
There's no way they're putting in the same effort. I don't believe it for a shred of a second.
All right, well, let's hook in. We have a little questionnaire that we like to do to structure the show around. So, Jackson, starting with you, for better or worse, what is a moment that stands out to you?
Okay, there were like 2 moments, but one moment was multifaceted. So I really liked that it was just a funny visual gag that after Milhouse had like become seriously injured falling down the hill, when we see him in the hospital, he was just covered in those heating pads or whatever. I was like, that's funny. That gave me a laugh.
Ice packs.
Yeah, ice packs. Yeah, I was like, like he's just like, I've got a blanket of them. That's okay.
The hospital's just like, we don't really know what to do, but ice pack?
Yeah. He's so injured that we're just covering him in ice packs. And they didn't really draw attention to it. It just was like a fun visual gag. And then when Bart was blackmailing Principal Skinner and he asked him for his toupee, and it was like, I don't have a toupee. And then wearing the toupee, that was very funny. Yeah. And then when Bart was like, Homer, get in on this. I could get you stuff. And it cut to Homer going into Moe's, also wearing the toupee. I was like, that's funny. It's funny that they've just decided to covet the toupee of Principal Skinner. I liked those bits. They gave me I wasn't, like pissing myself laughing, but I might have made a noise like, bah! So
yeah,
that's pretty good, to be honest.
Just record that sample and use it whenever you need it.
But
bah!
That's a pretty high bar for modern Simpsons. But I agree. Like the fact that they didn't draw much attention to it is, again, like not normally what they do. They normally like hang multiple lampshades and like pat themselves on the back for how good their joke was.
For sure.
And the restraint to not show Skinner being bald, I thought was pretty clever as well. Like with the parade at the end, he's wearing the voodoo hat and
absolutely
showed restraint. BT, what about you? For better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
All right, so the whole episode starts on the the marquee for the Googleplex, and it's got Vindicators Crystal Wars showing in 3D, XD, IMAX 4D, Atmos, IMAX 3D, And I know this happened with movies like Gemini Man, apparently screened on like 7 different ways, and there was like the 40mm cut and the third, and like it was just the desperation of cinemas to get people to come in, and they're trying this like atmosphere in 4D where there's like sense and vibration response. You're like, guys, seriously, no one wants to go to a movie and sit in like a vibrating chair at the that no one wants this.
While one of the ushers squirts you with a water gun when there's rain.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's fun for 10 minutes at Disney World when you're on like the Indiana Jones ride. It's not fun in a 2-hour movie where I have popcorn.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There was something about that. Again, understated. It's just, the marquee up on the wall. But I don't know. Something about that was like, yeah, no, that's what's happening.
Yeah, for sure.
I will be a little annoying here and just draw the point that, they called it the Vindicators, and also Marvel. It's kind of weird because by this time they were firmly under the Disney umbrella, right?
Yeah.
Like, were they worried about getting themselves sued by themselves?
It's such a weird thing with The Simpsons where, like, early on, they would have these funny, like, not really parody names, but clearly, like, avoiding copyright names for so many things. But then, like, at a certain point, it becomes just annoying when you're like, just say Marvel, just say Google. It's not a joke to say my phone instead of iPhone.
Exactly.
Every other, whatever, like animated show that is talking about iPhones just talks about iPhones. Saying my phone is not in and of itself a joke. It's that stuff gets very grating, I think, after a while. And Marble, I was like, you're doing it. That's just what you do, I guess. The Simpsons now. Yeah, that's your bit.
It's just such a lazy part, though. It's just Marble. It's like, okay, you could call it Marvelous Studios or something. I don't know. Why does it have to be Marble?
Exactly.
Well, we call it the parallel import joke. When you go to like a reject shop or any sort of $2 shop, they don't have Mars bars. They have like Galaxy or Neptune or something.
Yeah.
It's on that. It's on that level of comedy, and it's weird. But like the other thing is like the Vindicators as well. Like Rick and Morty did it. Like that was and I checked the dates. That was 3 years prior to this episode airing. It was and
also like I just don't think The Simpsons is going to have anything interesting to say about like Marvel movies. Like what insightful like thoughts or concepts are they really gonna have? I mean, like I guess it was good when the Thanos equivalent was like, you're funny but not that funny. And I was like, I guess that is kind of the humor of Marvel movies. So I guess chalk that up for you to The Simpsons,
Yeah, that's it. It was like, a couple of good observations in that opening bit, but mostly it was just about trying to be about spoiler culture, but it was just more about Bart blackmailing people and that escalation.
And to that, I think there was a decent edge, like the idea that he finds out he's going to lose this ability in a month when the movie actually comes out. But he doesn't really do anything about that. His response to that is, I better get everyone to build me a treehouse now. And it's like, surely you would want to prolong your power or find something new or realize that all the people who are obeying you now, you're not going to have any power over them come next month, and you're going to be, just hated.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the episode could have pivoted and maybe Bart's like, well, I'm going to try and find what's the next movie everybody's excited to see. And then, I don't know, going in that direction or something. But yeah, you didn't really. And I was annoyed. I have a great love for Lunch Lady Doris. I think she's a great character, massively underutilized. I'm excited for the season where the writers are like, who the fuck do we have left? Let's do a Lunch Lady Doris episode. Yeah, exactly. But I hated in this that she cared about spoilers. I was like, man, that's not Lunch Lady Doris. She doesn't give a shit. Like, that's her whole shtick, is that she's this kind of gravelly, no nonsense, whatever. And I don't know. I find so often with these later episodes, there's like a characters to suit the story rather than changing the story to suit the characters. And I think this episode really suffered from that.
Yeah, it's not a stretch, but I did have a little bit of a hard time believing that Homer didn't care about this sort of stupid shit.
Homer loves movies, I mean, to be
you would think he would care the most.
To be fair to them, they do show Homer asleep in the first movie, so showing that he doesn't care. It doesn't entirely fit. Surely Lisa would really be more the likely. But again, it's an interesting turn to be like, here's the one person that your blackmail will not touch. What do we do with this? And I think it was okay, but it didn't really do much. You got a couple of jokes out of it, but in terms of plot, you didn't get anything new.
No, absolutely.
I really wish that the way that when like Lisa was like, oh, you can't do that, and he had to blackmail Lisa, I really was expecting her to be wearing Skinner's toupee as well. And I was like, there you go, rule of threes, great punchline, but it didn't happen, which was disappointing.
But yeah, let's talk about the wackiness of this episode. You know, classic Simpsons, they strike a really good balance between sort of the cartoony elements and the emotional core. So yeah,
Sure.
First of all, the cartoony stuff. I think this is going to be the big gripe we all have with the episode, isn't it?
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, before we launch into that, I want to say Millhouse's muscles were wrapped around the wrong bones. That was
Yeah.
his condition.
Yeah.
That was sounded horrifying. But
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, but it was pretty good. It's an evocative image for sure.
Yeah.
A very Millhouse affliction.
Yeah, 100%. It is my firm belief that about 10 seasons prior, we should have stopped focusing on The Simpsons and just started focusing on the Van Houtens. If it had just
God.
become the Van Houtens, because I think, look, in the modern day, we like our cartoons mean and we like them cynical. And damn, just a show about how terrible the Van Houtens are would rule. Anyway, but yes, this
It's the season. Why not?
Yeah, well, just Jay, experiment now. You're 31 seasons in. You can do what you like. Yeah, this episode, I think at around the 15-minute mark when I dropped off is when it was like just cuckoo bananas. Just Bart's in VR now, and he thinks he's in the Vindicator's dimension, and just like lost the plot so quickly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
really.
thing, we got like, okay, there's this whole VR simulation to make him realize that spoilers are bad, but they actually had genuine heart moment before that when Millhouse shows up to Bart and he's like, you stole my meeting with whatever air rifle guy, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
And there's like a moment of, you stole something and are now blackmailing people with it. And it's the classic, you've been given power and you've decided to do something bad with it.
Yeah.
Henceforth the name of the episode. But then to take that genuine moment of heart and betrayal and be like, he gets kidnapped by Vindicators, but oh no, it's VR and he somehow doesn't realize he's wearing a headset.
Yeah.
And he didn't realize he was thrown into a garbage bag full of glow sticks. And
and then carried
fuck?
to the it was just like, I assume, because I think the two guys that are running the VR thing are the Russo brothers.
that is correct.
Yeah, so I guess they were just like, we gotta have something for them to do in our Marvel movies, so what if it's this? You know what I
That's
mean?
the other weird thing because, this episode is stacked with guest stars and especially the Russo brothers. So why are they dancing around with the fucking parallel import jokes? Just call it Marvel and these are the Russos. Who gives a shit?
I know, exactly. I mean, like, what if it had ended with Bart literally going to see the Russo brothers and they were like, hey, stop spoiling our movie, you little shit. Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, or like do a thing where they rock up and they're like, try to have a heart-to-heart with him. Now, Bart, you understand you're damaging both the domestic and international markets, don't you? The economy is bullshit and everything can live
Exactly.
or die on the success of a movie. You wouldn't want that to happen, would you?
Yeah, you could almost do like a parallel to, you remember the episode where Homer starts screening pirated movies in his
Yeah,
backyard? You could do that again, whatever, where it's like, oh, all of a sudden the Russo brothers are going to spoil something for Bart. And he's like, oh, shit, okay, no, I get it. Spoiler culture's annoying. Yeah, there you go.
And just mentioning it as well, Kevin Feige, another guest star of this episode, he was playing
hell.
their Thanos parody named Chinos. Chinos.
He does have a big chin. Good
Yeah,
job.
that's true.
So were there any other wacky moments that stood out? I mean, obviously the VR sequence, which, I don't know, like, I don't really have anything to say on it. It's just kind of toothless.
Well, I mean, when it first happened, and this is where modern Simpsons is, I didn't rule out that it was a, setup.
Yeah.
So I just wrote down, what? Okay, but fuck off?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like, to be honest, it was pretty tame in terms of wackiness until that moment,
Surprisingly.
really. Yeah, shockingly. I guess the treehouse element was pretty kind of crazy, but like...
Everyone in Springfield cares about this tree. That's not a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And McBain as well. Like, surely he would have seen an early screener or something. I don't know.
I know. Again, that's just that like, oh, we're going to make every character in Springfield care because that suits our story needs rather than, well, maybe every, different characters within the Simpsons canon have like different feelings about spoilers or whatever, and we can make some jokes there, but nah, that's not what we got.
I will say a bit of wackiness. Don't know how to broach this. What's Air Rifle Soft guy's name again?
Glenn Tangier,
Yeah, who's meant to be Australian, so he's got a bunch of wacky Australianisms.
played by Taron Killam,
Yeah.
an American.
Okay, well, I mean, just racist much.
Yeah.
But no, one was, I do it for the buggers. Like, you need to look up what buggers means. It does not mean what you think it does.
I really liked when he said something about Adelaide Spunk.
Adelaide Spunk.
Like as though that's a thing that we're if there's any spunky of all of the Australian states, my God. And then later on we find out he's from Tasmania, apparently. I think somebody calls him something like Tasmanian something. So
the Tasmanian Adonis.
Yeah. But it's like when, you're a kid and you use a word without really knowing what it means. Then your parent sits you down and goes, now, I know you think this is funny, but what this actually refers to. It's like, Simpsons writers, you need to take a deep breath, look up what bugger means, and look up what spunk means, especially in like the UK and Australia market.
For sure. Also, just weird that they didn't get a guy who can do a better Australian accent when they have in the past. Like, this guy's accent was all over the place to the point where it was about halfway through the episode before I was like, they're doing like a Hugh Jackman parody. Yeah. Oh, okay.
You know what? Give me a grown-up Tobias. That's what I want to see in this role.
Exactly.
I got to admit, I did have a little chuckle over, I didn't even want to be an actor. I wanted to be a koala butcher like me old man. Throw another kanga shank on the Billy Boy. Like, I do like those kind of just Australianism soup.
Just taking a shotgun of slang and just blasting it.
At a certain point, I guess it's kind of a knife's edge, but at a certain point it becomes a bit charming for some reason. Yeah.
So on the flip side, how about the emotional core? How was the heart of this episode? Did we feel the old bumps?
It was thrown out the first chance they got.
Yeah, I don't think there really was any. And like I don't think every Simpsons episode necessarily needs to have that kind of like heart element. I think some of the greatest episodes are just nonsense happening and it's funny. And you're like, yeah, great. But this episode just didn't even try. Just didn't even make an attempt to have any kind of emotional conflict at all.
Well, again, it had that little bit with Milhouse and
true.
The concept of Bart learning a lesson could be, hey, sure, it's $1 billion company and who cares if they lose money, but you're ruining something that's important to people for your own personal gain. But he doesn't get that because of the fake out ending that he gets.
Yeah.
So again, it's not the focus of the episode. It could have been, and that's kind of my problem with it, is instead of this wacky over the topness, you could have had something more grounded. But hey, this is what we got.
Yeah. I think as well, I guess like the end, thinking about it now, was probably meant to be emotional, where Homer and Marge are like, oh my God, our son's a good guy. But like it didn't work really at all. It just kind of fell flat, I think.
Yeah, when he believes an alternate universe where superheroes are real and he's causing their deaths, then he does the right thing. Oh, he's such a good guy. No. When it's life or death, then he does the right thing. Okay,
exactly.
Yeah, they've knowingly gaslit him. It said where you're gaslighting him and then gone, hey, Marge, you always say gaslighting's okay when no one's hurt by it.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, so depressing. All right, well, that was fairly cut and dry, but ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Are these the characters we know and love? Is this the show we know and love? How's the integrity?
I mean, it's Bart causing mischief,
Yeah.
and I do like his shift from what do you give me to tell you the ending to what do you give me to not tell you the ending. I thought that was pretty good.
For sure.
There's just not enough gravity on the rest of it for me to really know. I don't know why Marge cares. That's a bit weird.
Yeah, I think the part that doesn't feel like The Simpsons is everybody caring about the Marvel movie. I think that's the only part that you're like, no, they wouldn't. Not everyone in town. Like, not Marge, not Lisa. But yeah, I think Bart's reaction to gaining that power to spoil it for people. And I, in many ways, we said earlier, like, Homer would care about spoilers, but also he's such a big galoot that maybe he wouldn't. Like, that kind of, I can believe that too. So I think they were characterized pretty well. But yeah, everyone else, not really. And overall, I didn't really feel like a Simpsons episode, to be honest. Yeah.
No, it felt like, Simpsons skins commenting on, the latest craze, which,
for sure.
I mean, at this point is just slightly too out of date and they just don't have a fresh take on it. It just feels like they're doing the thing and just making the same observations that everybody else is making with the Marvel-style humor of, well, that just happened and that's sort of that shit. Like, it's not fresh.
And also, stuff in it that's not even really a joke. Like, it's not really... Like, the fact that, obviously they're doing a parody of, like, the snap where everybody gets turned to dust. But in this, everybody gets turned into crystals. And it's like, what Is that a
Yeah.
joke? Do they think that's funny? In the writing room when that was pitched, was everyone like, ah ha ha? Or was it just like, that is how we know it's a parody? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's not the snap. He has an app.
yeah, exactly. It's the, have you guys noticed that later seasons love to do puns? And you're like, when did this happen? When did this tightly written comedy like end up just doing puns as jokes? Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's the same with the Marvel thing.
Yeah,
It's just-
exactly.
yeah.
This isn't a bit, it's just a thing you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
I don't think there's anything else to mind from this.
I think I probably will have to, just because me and my partner aren't up to season 31 yet. So it's going to roll around and I'm going to be like, oh, God damn it, this one. I'm seeing it again. But
I'm sorry for your loss of 22 minutes.
Just play this podcast over the audio. And
yeah, exactly. It's like a commentary track for sure.
And yeah, the next question, we like to explore what we'd like to change about this one. BT, we'll start with you. What would you like to change about Bart the Bad Guy?
just keep it grounded. I think there's a lot of interesting ideas here, especially with Bart, getting a power and using it for ill, and especially also that it comes from screwing over Milhouse. That should have some weight to it. There's a lot of interesting concepts, but just throwing it out into the wild wackiness of now we've got the Russo brothers. No, fuck all that. That's boring. Stick with that yard scene where Milhouse walks in and says, "Hey, you stole my opportunity, and now you'll, become a villain yourself and are taking things from people." I wouldn't have loved the episode then, but at least it would have stayed grounded and real, and I wouldn't have a good 15-minute complaint about it. And then just make with a laugh. Come on.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you, Jackson? What would you like to change about this one?
I think I would change it from being about Marvel to you could even do an Itchy and Scratch. I think that there's an episode a couple of seasons prior to this where they do an Itchy and Scratchy parody of the Lion King musical on Broadway. That's pretty good. They do some interesting stuff there.
Yeah.
So if they were
Circle of Knife.
Yeah, exactly. Circle of Knife. That was pretty good. So if they were well, it's an Itchy and Scratchy take on a Marvel movie, then you can do some jokes in there. You can have your Poochie characters. You can have your disgruntled goat or whatever. And then maybe the episode, instead of necessarily, your part 1 and 2 or Bart has spoilers, and then your part 3 could be maybe Bart versus the, what's his name? Something Myers Jr., the owner of Itchy and Scratchy.
Roger Myers, yeah.
Roger Myers Jr. And you do maybe a funny courtroom sort of ending or whatever. And you just have the whole episode be a kind of silly, kind of goofy Bart versus Itchy and Scratchy style episode. I think that's what I would have changed.
Yeah, because you've still got all the characters of Springfield there to do the makings of that, and you can have it to be a filter to comment on all these other things rather than just
directly doing it.
thing.
Yeah.
Or you know what? How long has it been since we had a McBain movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Throw that in. Why not? And then you can have Rainier Wolfcastle be the one that comes to Bart and he's like, "You are ruining my box office."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can have jokes about Bart thinking that Rainier's about to, kill him or whatever because, Bart's a kid and Rainier's an action star. And maybe he's chasing him and you do some Terminator parodies or whatever. And then he comes in and he's like, "You're ruining my movie." And he breaks down crying or whatever. And Bart's like, "Oh, damn, I didn't even think about Rainier Wolfcastle and all this or something."
No one must know part 2 is awful.
Yeah, exactly. It's terrible. No one will watch it.
McBain Genesis, what were we thinking? Yeah,
Fucking
sure.
Genesis.
yeah, look, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but it's what I was actually expecting the episode to do, which was that Bart actually saw the Sick and Dying Kids edition of the movie.
I thought that was going to happen
yeah.
as well, that there was a sugar-coated version they could show the kids, and it would be all wrong, and I don't know, something with that.
Well, yeah, they edited it, when they're showing, I don't remember
Gone with the
movie.
Wind?
Yeah.
Gone with
I
the
love
Wind.
you, let's remarry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was totally expecting that edition to happen, and, I really would have liked to see the episode with that.
For sure, that'd be great. Absolutely.
But yeah, absolutely. Just cut the VR ending. Try something a little harder. That just took such a left turn. Yeah, we are here. Oh, just before, didn't get through all the guest stars of this episode because there's a lot. So Tal Fishman was playing the reaction guy in the start. What'd you guys think of this whole commentary on YouTube? Fucking.
I like the rubber stamp that came down. It was reacted to, but other than that,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine.
It's still so weird seeing Bart be like all fleek and saying things like clench. And
it was a lot of steps just to get Milhouse hurt. We'll put it that way.
Absolutely. So many easier ways to hurt Milhouse, let's be honest.
I actually didn't mind the visual of the tank pulling him down the stairs, and it, I don't know, it kind of looked a bit Peanuts as well. It's really, I liked it. Joe Mantegna had a small appearance as Fat Tony. Yeah, we mentioned the Russo brothers were in there. Oh, and Taron Killam's partner, I'm not sure. Colby Smulders, she played Hydrangea, the Poison Ivy-like character.
All right.
Yeah.
There we guest stars that none of us notice because they don't do anything.
Oh, and Kevin Michael Richardson as Whale Guy. All right, we are here. Jackson, do you have any more notes about this episode you want to mention before we rank it?
No, I think we pretty much covered most of it. Like, I found the reaction guy very funny, only in that it's like how out of touch The Simpsons has become with what they think a YouTuber looks like. And like, it was funny the reacted to, but you were like, is like a Mythbusters busted? Is that what you think is going on, The Simpsons? But yeah, I think otherwise we pretty much covered every note that I took on it. I think when we hit 15 minutes, I stopped taking notes. So,
same. This is one of my most scarce note episode. But yeah, it was just another thing with the YouTube thing where they were like, felt like they were trying to make a comment on showing the kids the challenge is actually going to influence them more than just letting it. I don't know. It was fairly toothless again.
Well, I thought at that point that it was going to be before you see someone cool do this challenge, I'm going to do it and ruin it. So Skinner was going to be like, now your teacher's doing the challenge. Whoa, it's crazy. And then that would spoil it. A different kind of spoiler. I don't know.
Yeah.
How about you, BT? Any other notes?
I have two. That's how few notes I took on this episode. One is, so you get the 11 months later, and then they're having the, auditorium, and then it has, a 5 minutes later. So I kind of like that it's one's 11 months and then one's 5 minutes. It's not much, but it was a bit.
It just felt like another stylistic choice that The Simpsons often do. They sort of set up, we're doing this stylistic thing, and then just it never appears again in the episode.
Yeah.
For sure.
And the final not post credits, the kind of extra bite you get is just a Christmas Carol parody, basically. Like, you boy, what day is this? Why, there's still time. Whatever.
And then everyone spoiled it anyway.
But people on phones, Elliot. What is this? The kids, YouTube, Twitters.
My only other note is Bart makes a very on-the-nose, this is the end game when he finds out there's 1 week left. Oh, boy. Anyway.
That was grim.
Yeah, it's time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we're using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode was just meh, you give it a participant. But for positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, the episodes which The Simpsons could not exist without, you give cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. Man. It's not as bad as a lot of modern Simpsons, but I still walked away just so flat from this one. So it's going to be a participant for me. I don't really want to watch it again. And I think, if you're going to go bronze, you have to want to watch it again, at the very least.
Yeah.
BT, what do you reckon?
Look, I was definitely on a participant, and then that whole VR thing came in, and while it's bad, I just don't care enough about this episode to want to, touch it and push it in the pit of failure. I would get episode on my hands, so I don't want that. So I'm going to leave it at a participant with, the asterisk. It's a low participant. It is barely... If it had done one more thing slightly more egregious to make me actually remember it 10 minutes from now, then I'd fail it. But at the moment, I just don't care.
And Jackson, what would you like to rank it?
I feel like, just given that it's a modern Simpsons episode, that didn't make me want to die the whole time. And the wooden cold pads and the toupee jokes made me go... that's frankly incredible for where The Simpsons is this far in. Because I think compared to some other season 30, season 29, season 30, 31 episodes that I've seen, when this comes around again, I'm not going to want to leave the room. You know what I mean? I reckon I'm gonna give it bronze. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I pay that.
Again, it is competently put together. There's a beginning, middle, and an end.
There is definitely something to be said for that,
Yeah.
All right, well, averaging out, that'll be a shiny participant. And it'll be the second shiny participant. This will, from season 31, rather. It'll be joining Marge the Lumberjill, where Marge gets into lumberjilling. And Homer thinks she's going to leave him for another woman.
Yeah, another one that could have been way more like in-depth and complex if they just tried.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to move on to the teens era, where we're going to watch season 18's Please Homer, Don't Hammer 'Em. We'll be back.
That is a worrying title.
Yeah. God damn.
And we are back, and we just watched a Teens Era episode. This was Season 18, Episode 3, Please Homer, Don't Hammer 'Em. First released in September of '06, it was directed by Mike B. Anderson and Ralph Sosa, written by Matt Warburton. In this episode, Marge gets really good at carpentry, but finds she can't get work unless she has Homer pose as the carpenter. And in the B story, Bart finds out that Skinner has a peanut allergy and starts abusing that power as well. Got a real weird Bart abuse of power thing running on. Guys, what'd you think?
Hey, there were some lines I liked in this one. It again had structure.
Oh, sure.
I feel,
Yeah.
Like there's maybe a message here that maybe went awry. Who knows? But I'm sure we'll dig into that over the next half hour.
For sure. I thought it was, I don't know if there were as many, there were like a lot of good jokes in here. There weren't heaps of like laugh out loud moments, but it was like entertaining from beginning to end, which is
there are a lot of bits
good.
where I was like, oh, that was a good line. I'm going to write that down. I didn't laugh. However, I thought it was a good line.
Yeah, like I enjoyed hearing it and I enjoyed what happened. And also everybody felt very in character and that was pretty good.
Yeah, it's a weird breed of Teens Era episode. I don't know if I agree about the whole plot structure thing. This one felt a bit all over the place for me.
I know. It definitely goes some weird places. Especially they definitely didn't know how to end this.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
They're just sitting there going, now, third act.
Yeah,
acting of 3.
We gotta have something big, I guess. It's gonna be a huge event. I don't know. What about this?
You know what? I'm going to get coffee, then I'm going to... No, I should work on it, then I'll get coffee.
Absolutely.
Now I want coffee. But first, Jackson, we'll ask, for better or worse, what's a moment from this one that stands out to you?
I think the moment that I found the most entertaining was during the montage of Homer and Marge doing all of their sort of carpentry jobs for people in town, where they're building a windmill for Lenny. And Marge is like, and this was, I think, the period of time where they really loved Lenny, which is, who doesn't? You gotta love Lenny. But they were like, oh, why does Lenny even want a windmill? And Homer's like, oh, he's got to grind his own corn. It was just such a funny, good line. And then to follow it up with like, then maybe you'll stop complaining about the price of cornmeal or whatever. Yeah. I love that. I thought that was great. And you can imagine that conversation. I really like the gags that The Simpsons does where it's like... what am I trying to say here? Like, it's like
hints at a bigger world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hints at this kind of like larger world that you would never see. You're never going to see that conversation happen. But it's nice that I can assume that Homer's having these ridiculous conversations at work. So, yeah.
And Lenny's brought up the price of cornmeal so often. Everyone is tired of it.
Yeah.
I think that does sort of lend into sort of the greater world of Lenny, where there's a lot of like these implied jokes is like, wait, why did Bart and Lisa suddenly care if he's not well? Or,
Please don't tell people how he lives.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I that was a great moment. I thought that was pretty perfectly done in terms of like, positive moments. Yeah,
to me, it then led into one of my downsides of this episode was that fucking obnoxious "We will rock you" joke that just dragged on, and then Carl's doing the verse, and I'm like, no, stop, this ended. This ended so many thumps ago.
You only ever do chorus. It's very simple.
Yeah.
How about you, BT? What's a moment from this episode stands out to you, for better or worse?
We start off with the Simpsons going to like a rundown mall, and I do kind of love that because if you've ever been to one, it is a weirdly eerie, sad place, and I kind of like that. And just all the off-brand names of things, and we get a little background gag the Simpsons have used before. Bart's looking at all these old arcade machines, and there's the Polybius. I'm not entirely sure how it's pronounced, but they put it in Apu's arcade as well, where this is meant to be the arcade cabinet of legend that was apparently, crafted by the CIA to test mind control on youths and things like that. So the Simpsons love throwing that in the background, and I like the return of it here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I was just going to say, it's cool that you can chart that mall across the different eras. Like in the, I remember the episode where it opened and it's like, oh my God, it's a brand new mall. And then it's run down. And then in like the later seasons, they're like, they're closing it forever or whatever. That's a kind of neat bit of continuity.
Oh, that's right, with the Angel episode, and then there was the episode where Bart and Milhouse lived in it for a week.
Yeah, for sure. It's a fun location that you don't think about very often, but yeah.
Now, for me, this is actually kind of where the episode peaked. I really did like a lot of the...
Yeah, first scene, yeah.
Like, especially with Bart, like, Triangle Wars, what is this? Am I trying to destroy them or organize them? Oh, no, I want a free game.
Yeah,
like
for
that.
sure. I also liked when that guy selling Homer that CD was like, he's the boss, he's the new Bruce Springfield or whatever, and Homer's like, I guess. Like, that's pretty funny.
Or Homer's line where he's buying all the old gummy worms, and the guy's like, I'd think twice before eating that. It's like, don't tell me how many times to think.
Yeah, I don't know where I landed on him eating the fucking giant tube.
I didn't like him deep-throating candy to the point where, like, it would be like a nail through his body.
Yeah.
Like, he impaled himself on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a fetish I don't want to know about. You know?
Yeah, that was a bit much. That scene was a bit much.
Yeah, just...
But that's it. Hey, saved by his other line where Marge is like, oh, let's go into this bookstore. He's like, but we already own a book.
Yeah, there were a lot of really punchy, good gags for like the beginning section of this. And while they were looking at the books, there was a lot of good background jokes on the books. I think one was like save money by selling your own blood or something. Like just like some good sort of background jokes there.
got
Yeah,
a
the
lot of
mall
blood.
section was good. Yeah, exactly. Why not? Get rid of it.
Yeah. Oh, but what stands out to me, I guess the thing that stands out to me, and it's going to be my main bug about this episode, is that I just don't believe like the ending and like the start of the story kind of matched up. It just with Homer and Marge's thing, where it was like Homer hogging all the credit. That didn't really seem like the point. Homer was sort of mostly covering for her like willingly, and then
There's like a delicate balancing act here they didn't quite do, because he does have a good line earlier of, sweetie, giving me all the credit was your idea, but then has the flip of him going, but you don't want me to be embarrassed when everyone finds out the truth, do you? So there is a balance there to him shifting from just doing what his wife wants to actually enjoying getting the credit. But I agree, they didn't sell that quite well enough.
For sure. Yeah.
yeah, so like when it came to the big explosive ending, like I just do feel like it was kind of first or second drafty. It's just like, and then something big happens. Homer, fucks up a roller coaster. Why not?
For sure,
Yeah.
and it also felt like that could have, and like I've seen the episode a couple of times, but still I kind of forgot how it ended. And it felt like that it could have ended, like when he's about to reveal the roller coaster. In my head, I was like, oh, is this the moment where he's like, actually, you know what? I made a mistake. It's my wife. She is the person who's done all of the carpentry work or whatever. And I feel like even just having it revealed earlier and Homer trying to atone for his mistakes earlier would have maybe made it feel a little smoother. But yeah, I know what you mean. It didn't feel, or even just a couple of scenes of Homer benefiting from everyone thinking that he was the one responsible.
Yeah.
He didn't really get that.
No, I
Because all
do
you
feel-
really get is like people on the job site being like, oh, thanks. And that was about it. It should have been, people stopping him in the street going, oh, my kids love that swing you installed. They thank Uncle Homer every day, or I don't know, something.
Even like, he does it for a couple of people and maybe somebody gives him a pie to say thank you. And he's like, oh, damn, I'm getting food out of this. I love food. That's the thing about me. And then
doesn't share the pie with Marge.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Always share your desserts with your wife, guys. Come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, because of that, like, I sort of don't know where I land on some of like the Homer jokes in it, where they're so like ham-fistedly sexist and all that stuff, and it's the joke. But like, there are some moments that I really like. We were talking about Lenny and the cornmeal before, and like just Kent Brockman going, "Indeed, let's take off our shirts and wrestle like all men do."
Yeah. that was great. That was a great, and I really liked it that Homer couldn't quite get his shirt off completely and seemed absolutely blindsided by it. That was so
Brockman
funny.
just jumped him. He didn't have a chance. Like, no. If you're going to do this, you wait till the other guy's ready. That's just etiquette, Brockman. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also Frink's like, "I'm sorry, I heard the sound of a woman measuring."
True. That was pretty good too. Yeah, there were some really good lines in this episode. Yeah.
So play count. Yeah, Jackson, you mentioned you've seen this one a couple of times before.
Yeah, I think this is one of those episodes that obviously I've watched it recently in my big rewatch, but also it feels like an episode that I kept on seeing rerun when I was like a teenager for some reason, like specifically this episode. So I wouldn't be shocked if I've seen this episode maybe 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, that's sort of the same with me. I feel like I missed it when it was like first new, but then like when I had Foxtel for a brief period and like Simpsons Sundays and Saturdays and doing all that. Yeah, I feel like I've seen this one a couple of times. How about you, BT?
I don't know, because I did have a moment where the episode's starting and I'm like, oh, is Marge going to become a handyman? I think I've seen this. Or maybe I just predicted it, because of course that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I genuinely am not sure.
Yeah, we've rewrote so many of these. I can't believe I didn't do this with Marge the Lumberjill. It would have been so thematically appropriate, but we got to do it today then.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
How about the wackiness? How was the cartoony elements of this episode?
Homer and Marge's bedroom is just blank floorboards. No, it's not.
That,
It's
that's
carpeted.
so
We've
weird,
seen,
right?
true.
Like,
It just walks in and it's
Yeah,
like,
that was strange.
you can see where the carpet ends. You're like, guys, come on.
I think though, but by and large, most of the wacky stuff in this was, and maybe it's just that like so many of the later seasons go really hard on it, but it all felt quite okay.
Yeah.
Sort of like I didn't mind when Homer is trying to avoid the, responsibility or whatever, and he hides inside the toolbox thing on wheels, and it like rolls away, and then it rolls off a cliff that's just like right there or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure, like that's a fine bit of slapstick, that's a fine bit of wackiness. Even, and probably I think the most, well, maybe not the most wacky, but like equal most wacky with the finale section of the episode where Skinner and Bart are kind of sword fighting, and they have this kind of like epic fight across Springfield.
To the Duel of the Fates from Star Wars Episode 1.
Yeah, I even thought that was all right. I was like, yeah, I'll allow a bit of like kind of hyper silliness for a moment. Like, that's okay.
There was kind of a moment where they're fighting on the back of a bus and they go under a bridge, but they just burst through the bridge.
yeah.
Like, okay, I wasn't expecting that.
And it was played really well as well, because you had like, avoiding the signs, punchline, they just grind through. And you're like, yeah, okay, like I can believe this is...
Yeah, and often the little towns gag, I feel like Simpsons would do it a lot. Yeah, the ones you don't expect. Little Bangkok, why are they going through that? Peanut shrimp. Okay,
Yeah,
fair
that
enough.
makes
Well
sense.
played.
Yeah, fair call.
Yep.
Fair call.
I also like when it's an act break, I think, where Bart's just loading fireworks and cats into Skinner's pants. And even just his line of, this is not going to end well.
And there's something good about that kind of Bart where, like, I think there's a sort of like a balancing act between like cartoonishly evil Bart and like imp style little kid evil Bart. And I think this did a really good job of, like, when he wakes up Skinner and he's like, here's your breakfast in bed, eat it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, it's impetuous, it's cute, it's not diabolical, Yeah,
I was sitting there going, oh, this is a bit evil for Bart. Then I'm like, this is the kid fantasy.
Yeah.
Oh, if I had power over my principal, I'd make him eat garbage, that kind of thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
I've
I
got
didn't
that.
mind the whole montage where, he made him write on the chalkboard and loaded up the tennis ball shoot or whatever you call them with the various things, including cans and whatever.
Yeah.
All to the tune of the Ramones' Beat on the Brat. That's their second appearance for The Simpsons.
Hell yeah. Interesting to compare this in a way to Bart the Bad Guy, because in Bart the Bad Guy, you get the same, Bart has power, it's just he has power over the town as opposed to, power over Skinner. And it's funny that in season 31, the writers were like, what would Bart want? A huge treehouse. When, like, in this episode, they nailed it. What would Bart want? To humiliate his principal. Like,
Yeah. Put feral cats in his pants.
Yeah,
I am a
exactly.
cootie man. I have a cootie life.
That's why I have myself a cootie wife.
Yeah. Oh, and the hatful of maggots moment, great as well. Love
Yeah,
that
was
moment.
great.
Yeah.
I did get a good chuckle. Just throws it on the ground, they wiggle away. Looking fancy
Yeah,
and
that was
dapper.
great. That was
The other wacky moment was another bit of implied wackiness as well. It's just, we cut away from the We Were Rocky thing. It's like, sorry, they were banging on the thing, and then, sorry, they took it down the biggest hill in Springfield and crashed it. It's like,
sure.
nice bit of implied wackiness.
And I quite liked as well that for some reason they had a sign for ye old Springfield town and a guy in like period dress on it. I don't
Still
know.
stuck to the thing.
It was just a fun extra detail.
A bit of ridiculous wackiness. It's almost a Jordan Zaynor corner, but not quite. They wouldn't have a handyman fix a roller coaster. What the hell?
Yeah, true.
Like, that's two very different jobs. And the implication that Homer's in charge, which is why all the other guys leave when they know they're not getting paid. It's like, you had one guy who just, like, builds gazebos, fix a roller... No, come on.
Absolutely. And also, hell, even the idea that Mayor Quimby wants a roller coaster fixed, that feels like the opposite of his MO, to be honest. Yeah.
No, it's, The Simpsons sort of going too big when it was a fairly low-level story up until that point, Segueing perfectly into the heart of the episode. How did we feel like they nailed the emotional core of this episode.
Nailed. I see what pun you did there.
Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
There's a little bit there. Once again, Helen Lovejoy sucks. But, this whole kind of, oh, Marge, you must be so grateful you've got such a handy husband. That kind of thing. That's a way to, show Marge's resentment building. And, yeah, overall, I don't think it was well balanced in the sense of, yeah, of course Homer's taking the credit. That's what you wanted. And also, if you don't like it, you can just stop.
Yeah, I kind of thought that in the end they kind of, it felt like when Homer was in danger on the roller coaster and Marge was like, oh no, he might die, it felt like that is the moment where you assume you go for that heartfelt, oh, I love Homer and, he's made a mistake or whatever. But I like that she was like, then he'll never be able to hear me say I told you so. I was like, oh, you kind of curveballed the emotional moment there, which I quite liked. They kind of
the
were
joke instead of the emotion.
They're like, we're not really here for the emotional story. It's not really like a Homer and Marge, heartbreak story or whatever. It's just a kind of wacky adventure, really. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
just a bunch of stuff that happened.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it really is. So I think that's kind of maybe what's disappointing in that they try to go too much into the heart, and it would have been more satisfying if they did actually back off on it a bit.
Yeah, for sure. If they didn't set up for that, yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? How's the integrity on this one?
I mean, Marge gets a skill, no one takes it seriously. Homer technically sort of gets a new job. That's Simpsons' well-trodden path. Bart does something, rapscallion-ish, even if they don't quite know how to pay that off. Yeah, I'd say it's all pretty good.
Yeah.
Lisa exists.
Yeah.
She
I
certainly
did like Lisa's moment where she's like, whatever, I got some paper to mache or whatever. That was kind of great. It was kind of her being like, check it out. I don't need to be in this episode.
I'll lay low this week.
For sure. But yeah, I think it felt like a Simpsons episode. It did get wackier toward the end. That third act is kind of out of nowhere and kind of unlike the first two. But ultimately, everybody felt on character. Everything felt on point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we often discuss with Principal Skinner, how much of a whipping boy he becomes, especially in the teens era. And I feel like this one's just more satisfying because it's more contextual in that way.
For sure.
Yeah, he isn't just a whipping boy. He's been pushed into a corner.
Yeah, it's something we go over all the time is that, back in the old days with Skinner, he was the authoritarian that was undercut by Chalmers and Agnes. And then in the teens, he was only just doing Mama's Boys jokes. Whereas this one,
there was no power to undercut. Well, there is no power to undercut now.
But I feel like in this, he did retain some menace, which I kind of liked. When he had the shrimp on his stick, it was the tables have turned. But all of a sudden was oh no, the power dynamic has shifted.
Yeah.
And I like that they went for that. I think that was
good.
For sure.
I don't know. I think I could have done without the shrimp and peanut fight in the hospital at the end. But coming into the larger point that I think we've made is this: they didn't know how to end this one.
Yeah. All the setup is quite good, and there are a few bit I think they could have built to, especially Homer deciding to go on without Marge, needed a bit more praise of Homer. Oh, hey, I heard you're going to fix the roller coaster. Wow, can't wait to ride that again. Something.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah.
But I had a different point, and I forgot what it was. So, over to you, Jackson.
I did quite like that when Principal Skinner and Bart were throwing their various allergens at one another and Duel of the Fates started again. Marge just leaving and the camera following her as she went to the maternity ward. Yep. That was a pretty good joke. I like that. As a final scene.
Once again, Lisa, just I'm checking out and I'm going to do Marge shit.
You guys do whatever.
Yeah, I don't need to be part of this.
I will say I do have a mild Jordan's anal corner in the sense
Jordan's
that...
anal corner? Sorry, we need to explain this.
Yeah, what's a Jordan's anal corner?
One of our regular guests, our good friend Jordan, he's particularly anally retentive, and he was always the one to point out the particularly anal moments in the show. So we named a segment after him.
Beautiful.
One that we have to explain to every new guest. No, it was just the bit where, so to find out Bart's allergy, Skinner breaks into the hospital. The school would have that on file. If he's allergic to shrimp, they would have it.
Oh, yeah.
True. And it's kind of weird, that they make a big deal that Skinner is allergic to peanuts and it goes around the school. But yeah, for some reason, Bart's allergies, they just don't bring up.
They don't make a lot of shrimp snacks in America, I don't think.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
I don't know. Do prawn crackers trigger it? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's no prawn in prawn chips.
I am also pretty sure. However, do you know for sure? Because I don't.
You know, that was actually one of the biggest surprises for me going over to America is just how much fucking peanuts are just in all of their candies.
Really?
Yeah. Like, because
Wow.
I remember, especially like, you know, learning about American candies from these shows. Oh, I'm going to finally try a Clark bar. And it's just nothing but peanuts. And yeah.
What? What about a Babe Ruth? Does a Babe Ruth have peanuts in it?
Actually, I think that's like a Milky Way.
Yeah,
Oh!
I was under the impression that was pretty close to a picnic, but I might be wrong.
That's
Yeah.
I just Googled Babe Ruth and got the guy. Damn.
We wanted candy.
Wanted candy, not the guy.
But yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
Yeah, you know, if it's
Yeah.
on laundry or something. It doesn't need all my attention, but you know, if I'm cozy, if I'm having a good time, sure.
Absolutely. I think if it was the kind of situation where I'd just chucked on The Simpsons in the background and this episode came up in that rotation, I wouldn't skip it. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll watch it again. Whatever. Like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
Especially
actively
for that
avoid it.
first- the mall opening, I think, is definitely its strongest part. We've said before, a good episode is often front loaded with jokes to get you in. So yeah, I definitely watch that, and then the rest, I'd half pay attention.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a pinnacle like hangover episode for me. Just one that I can just occasionally snooze throughout, or you know, just perk up for the beginning and then just sleep the rest.
100%.
But what would we like to change? BT, we'll start with you.
So I did have a quick playlist, which we usually cover on episodes we'd like to watch again.
Simpsons playlist, episodes that we want to watch again. We like to think about what playlist again. So what are some other Simpsons episodes that would share thematical elements with this one and pair nicely with it?
Well, I bring it up specifically because I have one, Elliot.
Oh.
That's the specific sound playlist. So we have the sound of a woman measuring here. We have the sound of a pig fainting.
Yep.
And we also have the sound, and Homer can hear pudding.
Yep.
So that's my playlist.
Delicious. Yeah.
Yeah, the mall playlist, which we said before.
Yeah.
Last Tap Dance in Springfield and The Angel, See the Angel, all that. I guess you could pair it with when Homer attempts to make the spice rack in
Yeah,
Itchy
Homer
and Scratchy
Handyman
versus
stuff.
Marge. Yeah, he already had a volume of carpentry books that he never read.
Yeah, for sure. Or even, wasn't there an episode, I mean, it's not a great episode, but where he starts to use that like Fiverr app equivalent, I forget what they call it, and they come over and fix a bunch of stuff for him. That's
Oh, yeah.
kind of mildly thematically similar.
Actually, just remembering, we reviewed that with Greg Larson, and hearing Jordan's anal corner broke him. Like,
That's right. I remember that.
absolutely destroyed him.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, BT, what would you like to change about this one?
Just in that entire third act. I think we've just covered it already.
Yep.
I know why it's there, then they need a way to escalate and get to a big finish, but you don't need to be like a big finish doesn't have to be a big finish, you know, it just needs to have everything come to head. The idea that Homer is maybe front and center of all the town's focus, and that's when he used the opportunity to tell them all is something. I guess it kind of drifted away from Marge feeling bad that she wasn't getting credit into a bit of a Homer show in the sense of it's all about his masculine pride. Have that be like subtext to what's going on maybe, but, you know, he could use that moment of standing up in front of everyone to go, it was actually, I don't know, something is better. And again, something different with Bart and Skinner. I like a lot of it, but I don't know, something different.
What about you, Jackson? What do you reckon?
I feel like I would have gotten rid of entirely the idea that nobody respects Marge as a carpenter, and I would have made this sort of central conflict there that it just becomes really successful. She becomes really like involved in it, and she starts doing it for people all over town, and maybe it starts to make her really stressed, or it's like taking over heaps of her life. And you do like something similar again where Matt Quimby's like, I want you to build something for me, but maybe it's like not a roller coaster, maybe it's like a luxury spa or something, you know, something a little more Quimby-esque. And then I would have the Principal Skinner and Bart storyline intersect where Marge is like, oh my God, like I've stopped paying attention to my family because I've been carpentrying too much or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Like, it sets it up for those two stories to collide. It's kind of sad that they don't.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Like,
Bart and Skinner literally ride a bus through town. That could have crashed into something important.
yeah, even if you're going to keep all of the, like, I'm letting Homer take credit for or whatever, and you want the roller coaster in the end, to have Bart and Skinner fight on that roller coaster would have been awesome. That would have been great.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, if we're going to 11, let's fucking go.
Yeah, exactly.
No one wants to go to 10.5. That's bullshit.
Yeah, or like and a very like similar plot, but Homer is getting food and stuff, free beer or whatever at every place that he does it. So you kind of feel more justified, or it feels more earned at the end, where he doesn't want to give it up. Because otherwise, why would Homer want to do any of the work? Like, that's so out of character for him. So yeah, I think that's what I'd change.
No, I mean, I don't have too much more to add to that. Just, I think I rarely say this, but pulling away from the emotional core is probably the move to go. And I like that idea about, not going so full roller coaster, but like Mayor Quimby wants a, I don't know, master bed with reinforced fucking floorboards to bang his mistresses or whatever.
Sex swing installation, sex jungle gym.
Exactly.
Sexnasium.
Although it's funny because is that not a plot in like a later season where Fat Tony is like, I need you to interior decorate for me, Marge, but it turns out to be a brothel.
That's right.
So it's kind of that. Whatever. Just do that episode earlier and it'll be better anyway. So let's go for that.
I forgot that happened.
All right, we are here. Jackson, do you have any final notes about this episode to mention before we rank it?
I really liked when Homer was like, I don't know, he was talking some shit at the table, the kitchen table to Lisa, and Lisa was like, I wish I had a dad that lived in the real world, and Homer was like, Daddy gets further and further away from the real world every day. Great line. Hilarious.
There was a weird animation moment there where Homer's two squiggles of hair go red. It was really weird.
Oh, no. I don't even notice that.
As he was saying, he's getting further and further away from the real world. I didn't,
That's awesome.
What color is Homer's hair? What is anything? We have no way of knowing where the Simpsons is going.
BT, do you have any other notes?
Yes, I do. At the Rundown Mall, there's yesterday's puppy store. That's just beautifully sad. That hurts. I do like Homer's line of, Marge is like, why don't you do something with the books you bought? He goes, I did. I made a footrest. He's just resting his feet on the case. I'm like, okay, that was good.
And
good. There was the one missing, which turned up in the Simpsons bedroom. I was like, yeah, I like that, but fucking still, the floorboards was so upsetting. I don't know why I care too much about their floors.
Also because that was just a way for Marge to knock over the nightstand, so it didn't have to be floorboarding. It could have been anything. I don't know.
The floorboard could have popped up out of the carpet. There's no reason why.
Yeah,
exactly. The Simpsons house has been established as being in a crap state before. It could have happened. It was just,
exactly.
Very odd. There's a bit where Bart says, you're the Jesus of carpentry, but Marge's response is, oh, what sweet blasphemy.
Yeah.
That's cute.
I liked in that moment as well that, she made the elaborate doghouse for Santa's little helper, and he just didn't give a shit and just went in the old one.
Goes back to his old doghouse. Hell yeah. That's a dog. Down to my last one is when he's built like the matchstick model of the roller coaster to try and figure it out. It all falls down. He's got like a model fire truck.
Yeah.
He's like,
the real sad.
Yeah, that was great.
Like the idea that he was prepared for that.
Yeah, I like that it caught fire for no discernible reason. That was great.
Yeah, there's another one. Things that catch fire for no reason playlist.
Yep, like when Homer makes Burns breakfast and sets the cornflakes on fire, and Hans Moleman stops short of the tree and his car still explodes. Great playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only added one more note. Oh, yeah, a couple more notes, rather. Homer's seductive reading. It's so stupid, but I just like to go, ooh, blah, blah, blah.
And then, you do me. No, you do me. That was great. That was very funny.
Milhouse's rant about all the things he's allergic to, especially his own tears. Again, another stupid joke that I just really popped for. It just the poor, pathetic little kid crying, and then just all of a sudden his face ballooning up. I'm going to say, Jackson, I think shifting to the Van Houtens might be a good idea.
Give me the Van Houtens. Give me sad, lonely, weird Kirk. Unnecessarily mean Luann.
Yep.
Extended family, and Milhouse's sad, pathetic
Caught
life.
in the middle.
Damn. I would love that show.
Yeah. And guest starring Bret Hart as Pyro. That's it. It's time to rank this thing. BT, it's your turn to go first.
I'm going to stick with a bronze. Like, if the story that third act had been better, I could have gone up to a silver, because I do quite like a lot of jokes in this one. But just, it's a fun ride, but it doesn't pay off quite as well as I would have liked. But that said, it's competent. I would probably watch it again, and there are some lines I quite liked in there. So, yeah, I'm going to sit on a bronze.
A bronze, okay, all right. Jackson, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it feels bad to give it a bronze, given that I gave the Marvel movie one a bronze. But but I still think a bronze sounds about right. It's not quite silver level. It's not like there's a lot of good jokes in here, but there's no standout or iconic jokes. So it feels wrong to give it silver. But I think I'll settle on bronze, but a high bronze. You know, a good bronze.
Really nicely polished and well taken care of bronze.
Not a shameful bronze.
No, not shameful at all.
Well, I'm making this unanimous. I'm going bronze as well. I think on a worse day, I might go participant, but I think, there is enough good stuff here. And, shit that has actually lived in my brain throughout the years. So, I got to give it credit for that. So, that'll be a unanimous bronze. It will be the third episode from season 18 we've given a unanimous bronze, joining Stop or My Dog Will Shoot, where Santa's little helper becomes a police dog, and Ice Cream of Margie with the light blue hair, where Marge gets into another kind of carpentry, popsicle stick arranging.
God damn.
Oh, yeah.
And that is also the last episode of season 18 that we've reviewed as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you for joining us for this momentous occasion.
Yeah, damn.
The concept that we're running out of episodes is still so foreign to me, I don't know what to do
That's
with it.
bonkers.
Yeah, season 18 overall ranking is now a shiny participant. We had season highs of Springfield Up, which was documentary one.
That's,
Yeah, we gave that a shiny silver, which I think is a bit too rich, but, not bad. And the season lows of The Wife Aquatic. I don't know. I'm struggling to remember that one. I know that they go to that town that Marge grew, the holiday town.
The Yum Yum fish.
And Homer gets hooked up like a
episode.
fish at some point.
That episode, I've seen it like 3 times now, but my brain stops after a certain point, and I can't remember Act 2 and 3.
Yeah,
I don't know what happens in it. Yeah,
I think it turns
they've
into a
lost at
parody.
sea?
Yeah, it turns into a parody of what's that George Clooney boat movie?
Perfect Storm.
Perfect Storm. Yeah,
What the hell?
that's right.
Yeah. Fuck.
And the other unanimous failure from that season was Little Big Girl, where Lisa appropriates Native American culture.
Oh, yeah. What the hell? That episode was real weird. Why'd they do that?
And Bart runs away with a pregnant girl as well. It's just...
Oh,
fuck me, that's
Jesus.
just,
Far out.
Season 18, what are you doing?
Come on.
Most of them sort of sit in the participant-y bronze range. It's also the season with Metallica, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, that about does it for the teens era and season 18. And now we're going all the way to the classic era, and what a classic we have. Season 4's Itchy and Scratchy, the movie. We will be back.
Wow, we started with Bart seeing a movie no one had, and now we're ending with Bart not seeing a movie everyone else has.
Oh, wow.
Well played, Elliot. I see what you did there.
Totally intentional. And we are back, and we just watched our classic and final episode of the evening, and fuck me, what a classic this was.
Oh, it's awesome.
Season 4, Episode 6, Itchy and Scratchy the Movie. First released in November of 1992, it was directed by Rich Moore, written by John Schwartzwalder.
Really? I thought we were out of Schwartzies. Oh, awesome.
No, he wrote like fucking 60 some of them. Like, we still got
I
a
know,
couple
we've
more.
we've also done 600 episodes.
That's true.
Yeah.
In this, it's in Scratchy movie. You know it. I know it. We love it. Hey guys, what'd you think?
I believe the term the kids use is straight fire.
Yeah. It's an absolute, it's a classic for a reason. It's good the whole way through. It's good to its core. It's an incredible episode.
Yeah. I was floored. Like, we were talking about how little notes we had in the other episodes. Like, my hand fucking hurts from writing down so much shit right now.
And
Absolutely.
the other thing I'm only really thinking about now is just how still relevant it is. There's nothing really in this that dates it to a particular time and place. Like, you've got a few references, obviously.
Well, the idea that Bart wouldn't be able to watch this movie
streaming
by
is
hook or by
somewhat
crook, but
But it's still
outside
comparing it to the first one we watched, Bart the Bad Guy, like that movie in an insane world, and possibly the world we live in, where The Simpsons carries on for another 30 years. Going back and watching that episode will be so incredibly immediately dated. Whereas this, it's sort of more like, that was that time period or whatever. It's not so obvious.
Yeah, totally. And, using the stuff that they already had established in Springfield to tell a story that can be, like, perceived as, oh, this is obviously a mention to that.
Yeah.
And then when they do make specific references, they are extra dated. Like, a new movie with Liza Minnelli and Mickey Rourke will open. Will it be as successful?
Yeah.
Only time will tell.
And it's like, they were not box office draws at that time, whereas now, I'd see that.
You're
movie.
like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm sure it'd be really good. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's hook into because there is a lot to go over. So,
Oh, yeah, it's a lot to get through.
my God.
Yeah.
so Jackson, for better or worse, what's a moment that stands out to you?
Oh God, there are so many good ones. I think funniest moment for me, it's quite early on. It's where Marge and Homer are going to the parent-teacher interview, and they're like, "We'll bring back dinner. If you're good, pizza. What if you're bad? Poison. What if one of us is good, one of us is bad? Poison pizza. Come on, great line.
Oh no,
Incredible.
I'm not
Love-
making two stops.
Yeah.
for sure.
I was going to say that's the point that a lot of people make about classic Simpsons is that there was this one-upsmanship going on in the writers' room of it wasn't just poison pizza and that's your joke. It was, oh no, I'm not making two stops.
Yeah, for sure. But then I think the crazy thing is that if they'd left it at poison pizza, it would have still been hilarious. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That would still be funny, but the fact they kept building. You know.
Yeah.
absolutely. And we got beats. Gotta love that. We got beats.
Talking about lines that just live rent free in my head because I
Absolutely.
love fresh beats as well,
Yeah.
and I think it every time.
Yep. Beat Dwight Schrute by like 20 years.
Yeah.
How about you, Beat E? What stands out to you from this episode?
Well, we say for better or for worse, so I'm going to go for worse on this one.
Whoa.
Oh,
So much violence was cut by Channel 10 on syndication, and I'm so mad.
that was going to be my
That's
moment.
so
I need to find
funny.
something open. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, you're right. This one is just. Because, we reviewed Itchy and Scratchy Land not so long ago as well,
Yeah.
and that was also another one that just had so many cut jokes from Channel 10, so parts of this episode just still feel new to me.
Yeah, wow.
I mean, like the Itchy and Scratchy movie itself, 53% new footage. This was like seeing new scenes in an episode that's, 23 years old?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Mind-blowing. Yeah, most of it being horrific violence, but hey, that's fine.
Yeah, because so many of these moments, like I just remember it cutting there and also thinking at the time, well, that felt weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
the one that...
Yeah, I was going to ask what specific ones. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I got a little list here. It's not in
Yeah.
any kind of order. The promotion where it's got Scratchy on the conveyor belt, and then Itchy's waiting,
Yeah.
and he just jumps up and chops him into pieces.
Oh, right,
Steamboat
yeah.
Itchy, where after it just cut after
for
Itchy's
sure.
got a shot off his knees. But in this one, he crawls into the furnace. And
Yeah, so the
wow.
furnace bit was cut as well, and
So the part I'm really mad about is the billboard gag where like Itchy's hitting Scratchy over the head with the film camera and it's
Yeah.
squirting blood, which is funny. Then have the couple parked by it who get drenched in the blood and like, what the hell?
Oh, it's Scratchy, yeah.
And then what absolutely killed me, which is the funniest joke of this thing because I'd never seen it before, is when they replace it with the barber school, but it's keeping the blood squirting.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that got me so hard.
Oh, that's great. Wow, I didn't know how so much was cut.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, because
Yeah.
again, like that was one where I was like, so they've put up a barber college sign. What's the joke here?
Yeah.
and they'd left out the whole blood squirting thing.
Yeah, which, I mean, some of it I get. Like, this would cause problems for, parents who then Channel 10 don't want to deal with complaint letters. But the billboard especially, first of all, that's hilarious. And second of all,
Yeah.
it's like clearly red food dye coming out of the billboard. Who's going to complain about that?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
idiots, obviously, but still.
No, they had a big aversion to blood, and we've often said that blood and The Simpsons, rarely mix unless they're in a treehouse of horror.
Yeah, yeah,
but
for
I mean,
sure.
this one was all Itchy and Scratchy, so it's different.
Exactly.
So it
that-
kind of
yeah.
worked.
And it's a
Totally.
billboard. That's what I want. That's the one I want back in. The Itchy and Scratchy, I get it. I don't necessarily agree for censorship reasons, but I understand
Yeah.
why they felt the need to cut it. But the billboard one is within the universe itself. It's very fake and very obviously not meant
Yeah.
to be real at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm mad, especially because that last joke just killed me.
That was great. Yeah, it's incredible.
And my big takeaway is because, with Disney Plus, I decided to watch a bunch of the cartoons that Disney felt the need to put, a warning in front of.
Oh, yeah.
Steamboat Willie being one of them. Have either of you seen that recently?
Yeah, it's cooked. It's so cooked. I remember watching that with Cass. It's crazy. There's a lot more milking going on than you would expect.
Mickey plays a pig's boobs like an accordion.
Yeah, it's full on.
Just like in real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
It's just, half of it's, this weird boat story, and then half of it's just animal abuse set to a jaunty tune.
Yeah, it's not at all what you expect when you go in, and you understand why there's a warning, just for decency. You know?
Fucking, yeah, swinging a cat around by its tail and choking a goose and then smacking a cow's teeth with a mallet. Like, Itchy and Scratchy got nothing on that psychotic mouse.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, that was essentially my note anyway. Play count. Have you guys seen this episode before?
Oh my, yes.
Yeah, of course.
Aside from the watch through, is this like for you, Jackson, being like one that you'd revisit often, or has it been a while? Or
I think so, because like the watch through that I'm doing at the moment started because I was already kind of half watching it, like occasionally, you know, just sort of by myself. And I think I remember this episode coming up and loving it, but also like in the past, I remember really enjoying it. I feel like the Bart with the grandpa's teeth in his mouth on the fan is so iconic. That's just burned into my memory. And I know Bart smacking the mustard singing Jingle Bells is my partner's favorite Simpsons moment of all time. So yeah, it's definitely one I've seen like too many times to count, and it's great every time.
how about you, BT? Has this been a while for you, or?
Yeah, been a very long time since I've seen this one, but it was a highly syndicated one back in the day. That's why I can memorize which parts weren't there.
Yeah.
And it's so good to come back to it and see it hold up so well.
Yeah, it's still like, because when I got the DVDs, obviously honked season 4 harder than Mickey honks that pig's boobs. And this one like being so special, and it's still weird the effect that those cut scenes still feel so new to me, even like watching it on Disney Plus now. Yeah, it's crazy. But how was the wackiness of this episode?
I really like that it's kind of toned down. There are like a couple here and there sort of like wacky moments, but by and large, it's a really grounded episode, which I kind of loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Bart's mischief, arguably, so, clinging to a ceiling fan, it's improbable, but it's not impossible. I do love the line of, oh, look, there's a baby driving that car, and a dog driving a bus.
I heard this was the original inspiration for Baby Driver.
That makes sense.
Joke.
Yeah, followed up by Dog Driver, I guess. Dog Driving Afternoon.
Edgar Wright said he has a sequel in the works, maybe.
I was just going to say, I think that like something that was almost unexpected, which is weird because like I haven't seen this that long ago, but was the amount of times where there just was a lull between jokes, and I was like, and not like a bad lull, it was just like an intentional pacing choice, and I was like, it's so crazy that modern Simpsons probably has more like jokes per minute than the sort of like earlier seasons, but it suffers so much for it. They're like the little breaks, the little like scene transitions where it would just be like a tree and then we follow a leaf to the joke or whatever, where it like helped it so much, like made any zaniness that happened so stand out like on a rewatch.
Yeah, there's a lot of breath in this episode, and it gives you a moment to just, let's get ready again.
Absolutely. And also, I think some of the jokes, they don't feel the need to continue doing or to like arrive at like any particular, like I really liked when Homer was in Lisa's class for the parent-teacher interview, and he just makes like a fart noise with his armpit. And Miss Hoover looks around like, who did that? And he just goes, hee hee hee. And that's it. That's all you get. There's no elaboration of the joke. It's just a funny moment. With no need to dwell on it, which I really liked.
Yeah, but I mean, it's setting up the world in these episodes, and I love these episodes where you could go, this could be the first Simpsons episode you could watch, and you can have a really good idea of the world and the characters, and especially, putting the parent who's obviously probably responsible for Bart's bad behavior in the class taking credit for the kid with the good behavior, and like, that's just a really nice setup for this episode.
I really love Homer in this one as well, just as being, that first iteration of Homer as kind of the flawed patriarch, where he does mean well and he does want to punish Bart, but he keeps getting distracted, like with the ice cream truck. And then it's what were we talking about? You were talking about the time you skipped jury duty. Oh, the trick is to tell them your prejudice against all races.
That, actually, I noticed a joke. I don't think I've noticed this before. The ice cream van was called Native American Ice Cream, formerly Big Chief Crazy Cone.
Yeah, that was great. That was a great little bit of background. And also, like, and people have said it, I'm sure, countless times before, but the animation and I even guess character designs are so much richer in those early seasons. Like in that last, the part where Bart is ripping up the carpet and Marge is like, what are you doing? With the We Got Beat scene, Homer's expression is so funny. Where he's like not even he's got a tiny mouth and like these kind of squinting eyes, like he's just like, just not paying attention. I love it so much.
And the second that, someone's not engaging with him, he's just straight back to just,
Yeah, exactly. Just not being present whatsoever. It's so good.
Yeah, his love of TV actually has really hit home in this episode.
Yeah. For sure.
TV
for sure.
sucks. I know you're upset, so I'll pretend you didn't say that.
Yeah.
Any other wacky moments that stood out? Oh, actually, I did want to circle back to, Bart with the teeth and the saber dance. One of our previous guests, Adam from Entertain the Elk, he sort of pointed out that this episode was hard for him to watch because Bart is so mean in this episode, and it's true. What do you guys think on that?
I feel like he's meaner later on. I feel like there's like a transition with Bart where it goes from being, it's like intense childish mischief. It's like he's a troubled kid, but then in the later seasons it becomes, I guess, like everybody gets Flanderized, you know what I mean? So I think that aspect of Bart's personality becomes really acute, and he does some just like full-on terrible things to people with no remorse. Whereas in this one, he pretty quickly, like even the first time they don't give him dinner or whatever, before Homer comes in with a slice of pizza, he's like, man, maybe I do need to like figure myself out or whatever. So he's a bit more human or something.
Yeah.
So I kind of, the violence or the meanness doesn't feel as egregious. I don't know.
It's more high mischief, I would say. And I think the episode exemplifies why it's happening because there's never any repercussions for him. He's got that great moment of like, but Marge, look at him. He's learned his lesson. Let's give him a present. And it just obviously that's just worked the whole time.
Exactly.
That said, the crusty doll with a knife in it is pretty extreme.
That's all.
I mean, the good thing is there's sort of more the implication jokes. We don't actually know where he put the fireworks.
I feel like we saw that last episode.
Yeah.
Leading perfectly into how was the heart in this one? How do we think they got the emotional core?
Seeing Bart have that moment of it almost sticking, and he's like, "Oh wow, they're really serious this time. I guess it's better. I better sort myself out." And then, just to have it immediately break him, he's like, "Sucker."
Yeah. And even like the ending, where Bart and Homer are, in their advanced age, seeing. Well, I like it because it is like a kind of slightly sentimental scene, but they're still very much in this kind of comedic version of their characters. Like, I really like it. I think that it's there, but it's not like saccharine. It's not too much. It's nicely understated, like everything else, kind of in the episode.
Yeah, even just Homer's like, I think you've learned your lesson.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it ends on just, Itchy's a jerk.
Yeah, and like I feel like in later seasons, because I think, like I said, in one of the previous segments, I don't think an episode needs to be emotional to be good. But I think later seasons are like, we can't do funny anymore as well. But we can really try for the emotional and see if we can get that to work for us. And I think sometimes they lay it on so thick in the later seasons. So it's nice to see it here. There doesn't need to be like a big speech or anything. You understand that they've reconciled. You understand that they've got a good relationship now, and you can kind of just enjoy it as it is and move on, which I really like.
Yeah, it's a nice growing moment, not only for Bart, but for Homer as well. Like, even as Marge and Lisa are like, maybe let him see the movie. He's like, nope, sticking to my guns.
Yeah, which
I do love his line there of, I can't let that happen, I won't let that happen, and I can't let that happen.
Yeah, it's amazing growth for Homer in this episode. Like, I just feel like this is peak Homer that I absolutely love. Where, he's still like dumb and inconsiderate and inconsistent, but like, we see him go on a journey in this one. Like, so good. And leading into, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
This is peak Homer. This is the Homer that I love.
Yeah. It did have some like early sort of season or early show. Well, I don't know if it's fair to call it early show, but like just that stuff that wasn't established yet necessarily. Like I don't know if you noticed, but in Lisa's class, there's a guy who looks like an adult Ralph.
Yes.
And I'm like, is that Ralph's dad before they'd established that was Chief Wiggum? Or what's going on there? But so there's like a little bit of that. And again, like it's not like early season weirdness because it's just been going on for such a long time. But hearing how high-pitched Nelson's voice was, I was like, oh my God. I forgot that's what he sounded like. Like a kid.
Fuck, that's a great moment when, him and Milhouse are arguing and then Milhouse gets to be Bart's bully. It's so good.
And I love Bart reading the novelization of the Itchy and Scratchy movie. That's
By
so
Norman
funny.
Mailer.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing? Like, I do remember as a kid, like, getting the novelization
Yeah, I
to
don't
popular
know.
movies as
I
gifts.
feel like it must be.
And then just, the novelizations having nothing to do with the movie.
I always really loved, I don't know why I had it, but the novelization of E.T., great movie. It's told from E.T.'s perspective, which is insane. You would not think that would be the way they'd go for it, but it's like, what was E.T. thinking? Internal monologue. It's cooked.
Somewhere out there, and I really want it, is the novelization of the video game Doom. And like the original, like, 96 one, and I really want to read it. It's like, why does this exist? I don't care, but
That's
I want
awesome.
I'm trying to remember the wild one that Shag had. I think it might have been the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. Or
Oh, that's awesome too.
Like, because often with these novelizations, all they get to go on is, like, stills that the production studio have given them. So, how they tied Ivanhoe's to that whole thing is, so fucking good and wonderful.
But also, I imagine as a writer of that, you probably got a lot of free space.
Yeah.
Of, look, we don't care,
True.
just get it out and hit the main points.
Yeah.
I guess you could do that now, Watch a trailer of the movie and try and shit out a novelization,
Exactly. Use whatever story you've been dying to tell. You're like, well, this is my opportunity, whatever.
And then sell it out of the boot of your car in a parking lot.
Yeah.
You know? Like, hey, buddy, you want the next Marvel movie? I got it here in novel form.
Why pay $20 for the Eternals when you can pay $2 to get my take on it?
Also, it's shit. So $2 for a novelization, I'll pay for it.
Oh, did you see it?
Yeah, it's shit.
Ah,
Oh, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I've never seen a crazier movie. It ruled. It's my favorite Marvel movie,
Wow.
hands down. I had such a good time.
the three polarizing opinions of this
Damn.
movie. Good, shit, I haven't seen it.
Yep. We could make a podcast.
Good shit, and I haven't seen it. So, yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Of
And
course.
episodes we want to watch again, we like to think about what playlist they'd go in. What are some other Simpsons episodes that would pair nicely with this one?
Future jumps, I suppose.
Oh, yeah. So,
True.
Lisa's wedding, Bart to the Future, all that.
Yeah. Even like Bart Hood and the one where
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Christmas ones.
Yeah, yeah.
There was a good one and there
Yeah.
was a bad one. I
Yeah,
remember
Days
that.
of Future Past and Days of Future
Yeah,
Future or
yeah.
whatever it was.
Something like that. But yeah, Bart Hood is a great example of a modern episode that we loved, actually. Yeah.
But yeah, it's fantastic. Absolutely. Love Bart Hood. Obviously, I think like Itchy and Scratchy Land is another one you could absolutely pair this with.
Yeah, Marge versus Itchy and Scratchy as well.
Yeah. True.
Do a big old good Itchy and Scratchy playlist.
Yeah. Shit, Channel 10 cut.
Yeah.
Yep, this Natural Born Kisses, and Grandpa versus Sexual Inadequacy, that was definitely cut by Channel 10.
Presumably the one where Homer smokes weed. I'm sure they cut something from that.
Yeah.
Well, I
The
remember because
Devoxynol
that's
episode.
they started doing like Simpsons Up Late for a little while there, and started showing that and all those other episodes.
Far less erotic than I thought they were going to be. I remember as a kid, they were like Simpsons Out Late, and I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
we're going to see Marge and Homer fucking these. That's crazy.
You need to go to the novelization for that.
yeah. That's where I'll find it.
Yeah, on sale at the back of BT's car.
Yeah.
$2.
Jackson, what would you like to change about this episode?
I mean, not much. Like, there's just this. I mean, it would feel almost sacrilegious to get my dirty fingers in there and move stuff around. I can't really think of much. There's only stuff in this that I like. Maybe get rid of the adult Ralph in Lisa's class, just for continuity's sake. But other than that, there's nothing I really would change.
And I just checked that. Yeah, so what is it? I Love Lisa was the first episode to establish that Ralph and Chief Wiggum were related.
right.
Cool.
So, and that
cool.
was episode 12. So yeah,
All right.
just a little bit after this one. How about you, BT?
Yeah.
The bit where Marge imagines Bart's future as a male stripper and is disgusted. Marge, sex work is real work. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you need to come out of that fantasy, go, well, that's not what I want for him. However, if that's the life he chooses, I understand and support him as a parent.
I kind of like though that like he's like he's not an appealing stripper.
No,
Like, you
yeah.
could assume that Marge is like, well, I wouldn't care if he was
Oh,
a
yeah.
stripper, but at least I'd hope he was a good one. But instead he's
You put the
listen,
effort into the stripping man.
the ladies booing Bart is so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
just
great.
throwing things at him.
Yeah.
Just more of me to love, baby. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so just not there.
God,
Yeah.
it gave every husky man something to say back in reply.
Oh, Bart future job fantasy. So yeah, pair this with when he wants to be a rock star. It's like,
Yeah.
True.
slag off.
Yep.
Yeah, I got nothing for this one. Like, yeah, this is an episode
It's
that
so good.
does not
There's
give
so
me
much episode.
I
Yeah.
know, right? Like, yeah, I feel so much superiority over the new ones that I just do not feel for this one. Like, so yeah.
It's such a funny thing as well, like, because I think when you, certainly for me, watching the episodes as I have been, I'm in the later seasons and I watch an episode that's like shit, like just it sucks, but I'm like, I laughed once. That's pretty good. That's like an A+ episode because it made me smile at one point. And then I go back and watch something like this and I'm like, oh my God, I've been so generous to these later seasons, you know?
It's, the Simpsons version of Stockholm Syndrome, Springfield Syndrome.
Exactly. Yeah.
We are here. Jackson, do you have any other notes about this episode you want to mention before we rank it?
I really like, this is something I like in these later seasons, and I think there's a couple of seasons, maybe like 7, 8, maybe something like that do it heaps. But I really like that Lisa is involved in the same shenanigans that Bart is at the beginning.
Yeah.
She puts on the music for him to spin around the fan. I think these moments where the two of them seem like siblings who like get up to mischief together are awesome, and they don't happen enough. I think another great example is the one where Marge wants them to cut the lawn. I forget the episode, but Marge is like, cut the lawn, and both of them are just super lazy, lying on the couch, not doing it.
Oh.
Like, I love those moments where they're sort of like a team.
Yeah, that's right. The carny one. It's like, it was hard, so we quit. And then they go to the carnival and there's the lawn mowing simulator.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nice to see them. It's a good dynamic, and I wish they'd do it more.
Yeah.
I liked, we'll put you in a home, Grandpa. Grandpa being like, you've done that. He's like, well, we'll put you in the crooked home we saw in 60 Minutes. Hilarious line. I really loved all of the different Itchy and Scratchy designs. Something I didn't realize the other times I've seen this is that the Itchy and Scratchy in the like 1940s or whatever have a completely different design. I was like, oh, that's cool. I didn't
more reflective of the era.
Yeah, I didn't notice that they'd done that. So I really like that as well.
And in another cut bit where the Itchy and Scratchy took on Hitler, that was just completely not there in the Channel 10 version.
Yeah, wow,
and
that's
that really
crazy.
looked like that. I think it's Daffy Duck kills Hitler or something, that old cartoon.
Yeah,
and they really emulated that style as well with just the particular shape of the eyes and the way they move. It was really well done.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those Korean animators, you know,
They're nailing it.
held at gunpoint. Anyway, BT, do you have any other notes?
I've got a bunch. I do like the whole episode starts with them watching the ad for Star Trek 12, so very tired. I just, it was just, again with the Klingons. This gets me every time.
It's funny, actually, I thought about this one. You could actually make this movie today because Spock didn't appear in this one. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that was the opening and that the first one we watched today also did it was about a parody of a current film or whatever.
Yeah.
And that kind of, it's like a similar thing in the opening of this one, but it's way, again, less on the nose somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think by that point there were like, I don't know, 5 or 6 Star Trek movies like from the original cast. So yeah. And just Shatner's again with the Klingons.
Oh, yeah. Lives rent free.
Yeah.
Let's see. The parent-teacher interview is the sign, let's share the blame.
Yeah.
I actually forgot to mention a sign gag from Please Homer, Don't Hammer 'Em, which was tell Mum you love her, copy her keys, which was outside the hardware store.
That's funny. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Sorry. Time really flies when you're reading the Bible. And how excited Grandpa is at the prospect of getting to break Bart's teeth. He's like, ooh, this is going to be sweet.
Yeah, that was great.
When he's stealing Jasper's teeth, and it's like, well, if it isn't the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah.
That's just some good Jasper.
Oh, and that's where that story ends. What a shame. What happened with Grandpa's teeth?
Yeah, true.
That's what I'd change. I'd get Grandpa new teeth.
Dad, you could punish me, but then you have to think of a punishment, sit here and make sure I do it, or you could watch unpredictable Mexican sitcoms.
And this is our first appearance of Bumblebee Man in this episode.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I was wondering if it was his first
Well,
on-screen
that makes it even
appearance.
funnier that it is like really non-wacky. He's just eating a bunch. He goes, oh, my stomach. And that's it.
True.
And this was based on I'm going to fuck up the pronunciation, sorry, El Chapulín, Colorado, which loosely translates into the red grasshopper, who was, so it was based on a real thing.
There we go.
That's cool.
Earl Warren wasn't a stripper. Now who's naive?
Homer has weird, deep knowledge on Chief Justices at Supreme Courts.
Homer not watching the moon landing is also fantastic.
Oh, yeah, it's a classic
Yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy.
Yeah, Homer's love of bubblegum pop playlists. So yeah, pair this with Sugar Sugar.
I do really love as well. When I was at your age, I wanted a catcher's mitt, and my dad wouldn't get it for me. So I held my breath till I passed out and banged my head on the coffee table. The doctor thought I might have brain damage.
What's the point of this story?
Yeah.
I like stories.
Such amazing delivery.
Yeah.
I like stories.
Yep. The cameo reference they make when it's like, oh, the celebrities who did cameos like Dustin Hoffman and Michael Jackson. Of course, they didn't use their real names, but you could tell it was them. It's like,
that was good. That was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Referencing the fact that both of them, for different reasons, didn't want to put their names credited to The Simpsons. Dustin Hoffman, because he thought it had hurt his movie career, having voiced on a cartoon show. And Michael Jackson, because of the whole contract disputes and things like that.
Thing that's going on. I do love that Lisa has, you need to let Bart see this movie. He's got the demented melancholia of a Tennessee Williams heroine. Don't you think I know that? And my final note is Bart's photo can still be seen up on the wall in the movie cinema when they get tickets in the future.
Oh, that's great. I didn't notice that.
Wow.
It's a blurry shape, but it does look like, a blurry yellow shape of Bart's head. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. And my final notes. Why is Willie in full Scottish regalia for this thing?
Yeah, I feel like that was a cut joke, and then he just goes, and it's like,
I kind of loved that that's all that we got. It kind of was funny on its own. It just Willie's annoyed. You're like, oh, yeah, okay.
I got all dressed up for this. I don't know.
I thought that as well. I'm like, wait, what? Okay, sure, whatever.
Bart's meanness, though, probably does go next level with, synthesizing a laxative out of peas and carrots and swapping out Miss Krabappel's birth control with Tic Tacs.
Synthesizing a laxative is impressive.
Yeah, that's
biochemistry shit.
I don't get it, but Al Capone doing the Charleston on a lamp pole just fucking sends me.
That's a weird reference to, there was a guy named, I was literally reading about this yesterday. In 1927, there was a guy named Shipwreck Kelly, and he became really famous for, he had like a little sort of padded ring that he would climb to the top of flagpoles and place down, and then just sit up there for like 45 days.
Yep.
And at the same time, Al Capone was in the peak of his power, I guess.
It's just a bunch of things that era they're just cramming into one reference. But yeah, flagpole sitting, it was a thing because...
Paranoia.
Life before streaming was that boring.
Yeah.
Like people used to make novels out of movies. That's how boring life was.
Oh my God, we got an accidental flagpole playlist going today as well with the first episode.
Nice.
And we also got an accidental crafting a mailbox playlist. A master craftsman can craft 3 mailboxes an hour. All right, well, it's about time to rank this thing. Oh, wait, just before we do that, BT, you need to ask Jackson what is obviously the most important question we ask on this podcast.
All right.
Yeah, so we like to ask our first-time guests, if you could have a sandwich named after you, what would be on that sandwich? Now, I know that's a lot to drop on you at the end of a 3-hour podcast, so if that's too hard, you can just shorten it down to what's the best sandwich. But if I go into a deli and I sit down and I order the Jackson Baly, what am I getting?
I reckon we're talking like, I don't know, just like nice, crusty, like a white crusty roll, really soft, bit of butter, bit of mayonnaise, Swiss cheese, rocket, radishes. Let's put radishes on that. Pickles, maybe like turkey loaf. What else do I want on this bad boy? I mean, that's pretty good. Maybe quince paste. Love a bit of quince paste. And then maybe some pickles. Did I say pickles? Yeah. 2 times as many pickles.
It did.
Twice the pickles.
Twice the pickles.
And then chop it up into just tiny little pieces. Just like this smallest, like make it like a grated carrot. That's what I kind of like. Yeah. Grate the whole sandwich down, yeah.
Like make a slider and then quarter a slider.
Yeah, exactly. And just keep going till you have to eat the whole sandwich with a spoon. I think that would be the Jackson Baly. And they don't give it to you on a plate. They just dump it on the table in front of you. And they're going to say, eat up, you animal. That's what they're obliged to say when they give it to you.
That's part of it, yeah.
We haven't had anyone say how they'd have their sandwich cut, let alone have the sandwich. That's fantastic. That is a wonderful sandwich.
Yeah, I think so.
That's an experience.
Or a soup by the way it ends.
It's kind of like a cereal almost, yeah.
Sandwich cereal. All right, it is time to rank this thing. Jackson, what would you like to rank this one?
It feels almost cubic zirconia level. Like it is such a classic one. Like when you gave me those choices of you're like, oh, which ones would you like to do of this era? Like I just zeroed in. I was like, that's such a classic. It's so burned into my brain. But also maybe in the grand scale of Simpsons episodes, there are some that are more essential. So I'm going to take it down level and just go gold. It's a classic. Everybody should see it. There's no bad bits, which is pretty impressive for anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all the arguments that I'm saying. Yeah, this is a cubic. To me, this is part of the Simpsons experience. And like I was saying before, ones that you could show a Simpsons novice and say, yeah, why the show is important and what it can do and how amazing it can be. Yeah, I just had such a wonderful time revisiting that one today. So, essential for me, BT. What are you going?
I'm going to go cubic zirconia as well. I like all the jokes in this. It's not a flat moment. And a lot of the emotional core is actually subtextual. It's there in dialogue and the subtext of dialogue. Rather, the only like outright moment is that part where Bart goes, oh, maybe I should think about what I'm doing. But everything else is like the subtext of how Homer's dealing with punishment, how Bart thinks because he can always just get away with things, he never has to behave. Yeah, if you'd never seen this before, you get it. I think that's masterful writing and that it's still hilarious. That billboard bit really got me. So, I'm going to cubic zirconia all the way, baby.
All right, and that'll average out into being a dull cubic zirconia. It will be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be the 7th dull cubic zirconia from season 4. We also gave the slightly less than perfect ranking to Duffless, I Love Lisa. Yep. Oh, we mentioned that before. Homer's Triple Bypass, Lisa's First Word, Treehouse of Horror 3, and A Streetcar Named Marge.
Feels like some good company there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah, that about does it. Jackson, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for giving me somewhere to talk about The Simpsons because there's nowhere else. I'm trying to do it on my podcast. Everyone gives me a pleasant smile like, okay, Jackson, you're watching every episode of The Simpsons is an experience only you're living through right now. So I'm very happy to be able to talk about my opinions and happy to do it. Thanks for having me.
No, absolutely. It was actually like, because I looked through Plumbing the Death Star. I don't think you guys have done like a Simpsons hypothetical on that one yet.
We've never talked The Simpsons for some reason. I think we're like the universe itself is so comedic already. What are we gonna add to it? You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of like why we've avoided it. But maybe one day maybe now that I'm watching it all, I'll make it happen. You know what I mean?
Awesome. And do you have anything you want to plug?
Well, hey, if you like the sound of me, you can find me. I do a bunch of podcasts, part of the Sanspants Radio Network. So if you go to sanspantsradio.com, you can click on Plumbing the Death Star, Baseless Speculation, Thumb Cramps, D&D is for Nerds, Shut Up a Second, and a whole bunch of others. I'll probably be on the episode you click on. You can follow me on Twitter at All Dogs Are Dead, and I'm on Twitch at Jackson Baly, twitch.tv/Jackson Baly. So I'm around. Yep. Yeah, come check me out.
Yeah, what was I watching you play some crazy chicken game the other week?
Was it Skyrim? I've been playing Skyrim as a chicken recently.
That was it.
Yeah. It's the game does not want you to be a chicken. Let me tell you that.
And make your own fun.
And BT, if people want to hear more of our voices and stuff.
Well, if they want to hear more of us, they can go to patreon.com/sidequeststudios. This is our blanket for everything we are doing. But that's it. I mean, we would love if you could kick a few dollars our way. But if you can't, hey, that's fine. We're available on all good podcatchers. You can check out our other shows. There's Thrones of Game, where we watch Game of Thrones backwards, which is complete now. We have now fully watched Game of Thrones in reverse order. Elliot has only ever seen the show backwards.
That's great.
There's also our scripted podcast, Pulp Fury Radio, where we take original scripts based on pulp genres like sci-fi, noir, and mystery, and just get some tasty actors in to do some great work with some Foley. I really am very proud of all the work we've done there. It was fully written, directed, and produced by myself and Elliot. Go check that out if you want a little bit of fiction instead of just reviews and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and downloads have been weirdly going crazy for It Came From the Bottom of the Ocean, but also from space lately.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's one of my absolute favorite ones that we've done, so go check that out.
That rolls.
Yeah, otherwise, once again, thank you very much, Jackson.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you, BT.
Hoi hoi.
And I've been your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house.
Jingle bells, jingle bells. Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter and Instagram. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
Yeah, mine's recording.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
And that was I'm recording, BT.
Just waiting for there's my waveforms appearing. Yeah, there they are. Look at them. Curvaceous.
Beautiful.
I like them sharp.
Like I women, like I like my waveforms.
Yeah.
Sharp.
Love just running my hands down a sharp woman.
Jagged. Yeah.